Hey, what's up, Faction Warriors fam? Welcome back to another episode of Fallout New Vegas Faction Warriors Tale of Two Wastelands edition. Up today is our second ghoul of the series. I guess you call him a raider because he kind of acts like one. Roy Phillips of the Warrington Metro Tunnels, who can become the leader of Tenpenny Tower depending on the decisions you make. Getting straight to the good stuff here, let's punch up Roy's inventory. 10mm submachine gun, Chinese AR, that's been seeing a lot of love here in this series so far. And the standard issue AR. We have leather armor as our apparel, which is pretty cool, and that means, going by my own personal house rule, that we can use the lightweight leather armor from the courier stash because I allow us to use any variants of weapons or apparel available to us. And I found out something pretty interesting when I was looking up Roy Phillips' inventory. I don't remember ever finding this out in Fallout 3, but apparently he's a pre-war cop. That's pretty cool, actually. That's not relevant to the run because here in Faction Warriors, we're not in character at all. We are strictly mechanical, including our special allocation. I just thought that was neat and worth mentioning. And now the AR and its Chinese counterpart both share 556 ammo, so we're going to need to get a lot of that for this run. And in case this is your first episode, first off, hello, love to see your beautiful face. Just know that for this section right here, regardless of our unit, we're allowed to use the varmint rifle because we have to get through this part of the tutorial to get Joe Cobb the trigger inside of the Prospector Saloon. Unfortunately, we have no melee weapons, so we're going to use the 10mm submachine gun to clear out the praying mantises inside of Goodspring School. It's still extremely easy, but, you know, I don't like to waste the bullets if there's a melee option available to us. Now, as we try to crack open this safe, it does cost us a bobby pin, but after this, we don't need the bobby pins at all. I got a little straggler here we gotta take care of. We don't want any of these guys alive because if we rush outside while they're chasing us, or if we're in caution, Joe Cobb's gonna run away from us, and that's gonna waste time. And hey, speaking of Joe Cobb, there he is. We're gonna go ahead and take him out, and once we get over to his body, loot the second stealth blade, which we're gonna need 2 of those for our routing. For those of you who keep coming back for more, I know you guys probably get sick of me saying that every time, but, you know, in case somebody is new, gotta let them know what's up, gotta let them know why we're doing what we're doing. And to that end, I say, if you're new and you do enjoy this video, go to the Chinese Remnant run. It's the first of our series where I go into full detail with our routing. And speaking of routing, one of the fans of the show, my boy Mason here, gave me a little tip about how we can get into the strip for free. Now, that sounds awesome. I definitely want to try that out. Obviously, in this episode, not going to happen, and the next episode is the last one of the season. That's been pre-recorded at the time of this voiceover a couple of weeks ago. But because I really want to try this out before Season 2, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stream a Faction Warriors run. I'm thinking the Talon Company Merc. That sounds like a fun unit, and I know another one of the fans said that was a unit that they liked, so they might enjoy the stream. And what I'll do is I'll make a post about it on the community page. I'll be sure to update you guys. Now, Faction Warrior Season 1 will be over before this stream, and I figure I'll have a couple more challenge videos up by then. In addition to the community post, I figure I'll make that in a couple of days. I'll be sure to bring that up in the videos I'll be posting between then and now. Back to the run. Yeah, that's why we need the Stealth Boys from Goodsprings, so we can use one of them here for a Cazador Pass. Next up is the obligatory mention of Papa Khan. Now, I know according to the wiki that all we have to do is come to Red Rock Canyon, and that's it, but that didn't work in my Chinese Remnant video, so that's why I come here and talk to Papa Khan. I want to make sure we get that off our Yes Man bucket list. With that all said and done, we're going to head further north and have our showdown with Cook Squared. Now, we are lightly armored, so we're going to have to be very careful in regards to Cook's flamethrower. However, I'm not all that worried because we have some pretty strong weapons at our disposal. And I figure, hey, the Chinese AR has seen a ton of love so far here in Faction Wars. Let's go ahead and use the American version. Because both of those variants share the same ammo, we are definitely stopping at the Gunrunners later on to pick up some ammunition. And I gotta say, so far here in Faction Wars, Cook has been a real team player. I think only one time so far have the Fiends actually been able to kill him. As usual though, Cook dispatches them with little effort, and well, we can thank him for his service with a good old-fashioned sneak attack crit. That has gotta be one of the cleanest Cook fights we've had up to this point. That was super fast. Before we head on out, we gotta make sure we loot everything here because we need to sell that so that we can have at least 2,000 caps to enter the strip. Would be nice if they had some 556 or 10mm, but I find that these guys rarely have either of those forms of ammunition. Obligatory El Dorado substation mention and time to raid the field shack. Sadly, no surprise stealth boy this time. This would be the ideal unit for it, actually, because we wouldn't have to remove power armor like we would have had to for Caston. Still, the Able and Kid BB gun alone is worth quite a bit of caps. But do you know who's worth even more caps than that? Our man, George, boy. Now, I know I said before that we're not in character here in this show, and we aren't. But I think that of all the units we've played as so far, this is the most in character. Roy Phillips 100% would just shoot this dude and take what he has. He'd probably think that George boy is up to some Ghoul racist shenanigans with the whole, oh yeah, just give me your money and go run into that artillery strike, and then Roy Phillips gets a little mad. I can't say I blame Roy Phillips. I'd be pretty upset with George boy too if he thought I was stupid enough to do that wager. And wow, that was a super clean run through the artillery strike. Next up is our usual rigmarole of looting through Mother Pearl's lockers, her cabinet, her first aid boxes, you know, everything that she needs to survive. And gotta say, it's been a couple of runs since this has happened, but we're able to successfully actually loot the lockers. That wasn't just me making a joke, we're being true here. But is it true to Kaiser? I'll let you decide in the comments, because I already have. We do manage to get a bit of extra 10mm, that's real nice. No 556, unfortunately, but at least we can sell the missiles for quite a bit of caps individually. All said and done here at Nellis, we're going to make our way over to Freeside, and I think about shooting, but we're going to do some business with our boy Dixon here. Now, we have more than enough caps to enter the strip as is. However, Dixon usually has at least one buff out on him, and I like to buy that so that I can keep it for Hoover Dam. But hey, once we're done with him, we can pop a cap in his behind, take the few bottle caps he has left. He always has a couple of stim packs, which are mysteriously not in his merchandise. Kinda weird, but whatever. Alright, one more thing to do before we enter the strip, and that's kill Old Ben for his 44 Magnum. Now, I only noticed this in editing, but watch closely. During VATS, one of our bullets after we kill Old Ben actually shoots his 44 Magnum like 20 yards down that way. That got a laugh out of me, and I may or may not have had to redo this line several times because I had a giggle fit. And hey, look at that, Mortimer is checking in a Ghoul. Really, widening the portfolio of guests whom are allowed to check into the Ultralux. Good on you, Mortimer. By stark contrast, we are, how to say, overthrowing the management at the tops courtesy of Braining Benny. And you know, that's not the only instance of braining we're going to be performing here in this episode because, well, you guys know who comes next at this point. And I gotta say, I agree with Roy Phillips' course of action here because the most notorious Rumentari gives him the mark of Kaiser, and if I were Roy Phillips, I would also find this to be very sus. Now, just a quick heads up about this mod that I'm using. Our Ghoul, Roy Phillips, is purely cosmetic. I mean, we kinda need that for Faction Warriors. I've seen a whole bunch of immersive Ghoul mods out there. Wouldn't mind trying that out one of these days. But I do want to talk a little bit about Roy Phillips because the Tenpenny quest I always thought was very interesting. Now, of course, you could side with Tenpenny and just take out Roy and his gang. You can side with Roy and raid Tenpenny Tower. Or there's a peaceful solution. Unfortunately, not for you, Mr. House. Now, I like to side with Roy Phillips because the Ghoul Mask is just a great item, and it's kind of fun to raid Tenpenny Tower. But I actually really like the, twist that comes with the quote-unquote optimal solution. You convince Tenpenny and some residents to let the ghouls come in. They do. 3 days later, Roy Phillips just kills all the humans. I know that some people find that to be a frustrating outcome, but honestly, I think it's great for immersion and for the storytelling purposes because Roy Phillips teaches the Lone Wanderer a very valuable lesson with that. Like, he straight up takes advantage of the Lone Wanderer's altruism. It's just a harsh reminder that the Capital Wasteland is a dangerous, unforgiving place. That's just my opinion anyway. Let me know in the comments who you side with. And as you guys do that, I have to get Roy Phillips through Hoover Dam. Let's go! Now, as we make our way to the 3 meat shields, Great Khans, super easy to kill, of course, but I'm quite happy with the randomly generated chems that are on each of them, specifically the Psycho. Ah yes, Psycho, the only we'll say substance you can imbibe, and it actually makes your bullets stronger. As I missed quite a few shots with the AR, we're gonna go ahead and swap to the Chinese assault rifle, finally giving that bad boy some lovin'. This time I don't miss a bunch of shots, largely because of this Kenturian's mission to be a bullet sponge. Now, if I read the wiki correctly, the Chinese AR is a little bit stronger, and that suits me just fine, as I do prefer its design by just a little bit. And honorable mention of that nice finish on that Kenturian there. Gotta love headshots. And speaking of giving some weapons some love, let's go and switch to the 10mm submachine gun. That should be great for the 3 goons coming straight at us. Yeah, good damage, and woot woot. That's one down. We tear through that Prime Legionary like tissue paper, and the last of the trio. Now, I have nothing against ghouls, but we've gotten a lot of brainy headshots here during the Roy Phillips run. I'm starting to think that Chief Gustavo's onto something when he calls Roy Phillips a zombie. So, get a load of this, right? I switch over to our armor-piercing rounds because, you know, you think heavy armor, that's the logical thing to do. Did they do the same damage as our standard rounds? And then I remember that these are the NCR Heavy Troopers. Standard power armor rules do not apply to these pair of goons. Or any of them, really. And, you know, since this is the last unit that's going to have either AR for quite a while, let's go ahead and honor this weapon's awesomeness by bulldozing through the NCR troopers and rangers that are between us and the little self-destruct red button. And hey, I don't mind keeping this in because it's always fun to shoot at the NCR. However, as we do push the little red button, we are going to cut straight to heading further east and battle the next wave of Kenturians that lay before us. Yes, you heard me correctly. Battle. Between the 10mm submachine gun and the 2 ARs, I think we stand a pretty good chance, and that Kenturian's death is proof that that's true. And don't worry, if you thought that we were not going to pop that stealth boy, were you ever ring-a-ding wrong. We'll go ahead and leave that third Kenturian for our Securitron, pop that stealth boy, and it's time to go, go, go. And now, I do believe it was a couple episodes ago I said that I would try sneak attack critting the Kenturians. Well, and what better opportunity than right now? So long as we get the opening attack and sneak attack them, we'll be alright, I think. And yes, they do have an anti-material rifle. Well, not anymore. You know, I wasn't expecting to one-shot that Kenturian, but I'll totally take it. Can't tell you how good that felt after so many episodes of just running by those guys. But that's enough screwing around. Time to make our way through what we now call Leggett Camp Pass. And you know what? We're making some pretty good time. Let's test our might against this Praetorian guard here. Brains. But what really surprised me there is that we are not in caution. Did they not hear or see that? Like, I don't have a silencer on this gun. It was loud as heck. And you know what? Let's get one more kill for the road. And yes, even after that headshot, that's closer to the veteran legionaries and the watchtowers, still nothing. I mean, that's right by Leggett Lanius. You know, he definitely heard that. I guess he just doesn't care. Well, I do have a bit of a theory here. I think at this point, Leggett Lanius, he just kind of knows what to expect at this point. He's like, okay, yeah, I know who that is. We're just gonna go through this routine, like usual, get it out of the way. And apparently impressed with our ability to dome shot his Praetorians right under their noses, Leggett Lanius is like, yo, good one. Alright, I'm out. And that's the run. Roy Phillips did super good, way better than I thought he'd do. Now, as we get ready to tally our time here, I know you're thinking that we probably wasted a bit of time by dome-shotting the Praetorians and the Kenturians a little bit, but not as much as you think. Now, I did check during the course of my editing, and the time we spent killing the Kenturians and the Praetorians, yeah, our time would be lower, but we still wouldn't sub an hour. Next up on Fallout New Vegas Faction Warriors is Garrett. We'll see if he can top Vance's time. I mean, I didn't think Vance would do that well, so maybe Gary will. Gary actually has a pretty interesting assortment of gear to work with. Gary is our final contender for Season 1 of Faction Warriors, and I hope to see you guys there. Take it easy. Later.